explain it. You'll hear it.
Okay.
Welcome to Struggles of the Spirit. I'm your host, the Reverend Leland Udell, and I'm glad you're with us today. I'm always glad that we're together. This is a great proposition to have a TV show where we can talk with each other. So please talk with us and phone in, and you can speak with me personally or with Wanda, our guest, by phoning the show number. It's not the number for the studio. It's for the whole facility, which is kind of unique. You'll get Bill on the line if you call, and then he'll connect you with us. You can talk with us directly. You can't do that with the show. But if you're watching this on a day when the program is not live but taped, what you want to do to contact us is to send us an email message, and the email address of the studio is on the bottom of the screen. You'll see, if you look closely, what our email address is. But if you're calling us live, like today, when we're here, you want to talk with us, there's a telephone we can actually hook into. This is like the old-fashioned phone we can use the microphone like a phone, and so we can hear you and speak with each other. And so
Here we are.
here we are. Here we are, Struggles of the Spirit. And we really want you to call. We don't want to just sit here and wonder what you're thinking. We want you to
Call in.
pull your own weight and to bring up your own issues. We have about an hour to do that, and then we will end the program. And we always start or end it with Aaron Copland's music, The Red Pony, and that way you know we're over our time, or beginning our time, as it may be. So please participate with us and keep us on our toes. Wanda, I asked you to come in and talk with us about what you do. So let's start with that.
Okay, well, I'll start and I'll introduce myself and my full name. My name is Wanda Hindes, and many of you may know me as the director of the food shelf for the last 12 years. However, I have moved on since then. Last year, I moved on to become the co-coordinator of the Burlington Legacy Project. And oftentimes people say, what is the Legacy Project?
I would say that.
Yeah, you had said that to me earlier. Well, the Legacy Project is pretty much the vision for Burlington. I pretty much say, I feel like sometimes we're the godmothers or the keepers of the vision of Burlington around equity, environment, education, and economics. And so to make sure that we move and work in a united effort towards a more sustainable community, and making sure that we're doing our job and being responsible. Specifically this year, we're looking a lot towards the environmental issues. The City of Burlington is doing over the Climate Action Plan, which is being led by co-director Jennifer Green. Also on that, we have equity, and that's the area that I focus on myself, looking at social equity issues which impact, and for me, we talk about quality of life, or social equity issues, again, which impact quality of life for all Burlington communities. And so that's pretty much what I do right there. This year in December, Lee, we have an annual meeting coming up December 9th at City Hall, and we really encourage the community to come out and be a part of that. And hopefully, Lee, perhaps you'll be there, and your wife could be there, Sue, and that would be great. But I like it there. It's been a year, and it's, again, specifically, what I do is specialize in social equity. I've been able to create a framework, and it's called the Social Equity Investment Project, a framework to, again, look at issues which impact quality of life. And there's been a lot of great response to that. And so, in a sense, I was glad in a way to come over here. You know, I think it's about well-being, whether we're talking at a spiritual conversation, but just well-being for all community members. And so,
What does well-being mean?
well-being for me means, I think, that maybe not placing so much emphasis on the monetary value, but perhaps acknowledging that, you know, we all have something to contribute, and that being at peace with ourselves in that process. And so, which leads us to quality of life, you know, and how can we impact that, or how can we build communities, you know, that have access to that quality of life. You know, I think that sustainable communities are equitable communities. And so, again, it was with a great interest, you know, that I was excited, and I still remain excited about being part of the City of Burlington's Legacy Project right there. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
But
But how do you ensure quality of life for people?
I think that it's a community, an inclusive community effort. I think that it's about making sure that all roads lead home, or that, you know, all voices are heard, and when possible, that all voices are at that table. And I think that if we are really committed, that we take a look and see, well, what can we do perhaps to support those individuals specifically? I always like to say the leadership in said communities or populations that are not there. And that's kind of like, that's what I like to do. That's the way I see it. Right there in that sense. And that's part of the mission of the Social Equity Investment Project, is to support leadership to move us towards, you know, positive change, you know, social change, or, you know, quality of life and such. And so I think that we all want to contribute to our communities, and to have access to opportunity. And a big piece of it is, for me, I've been, actually, I want to share with I graduated this year from college in April. I did the cap and gown. I got my bachelor's.
Congratulations.
Yep, the first in my family. I'm so excited. My Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration and Community Development. But it had been an ongoing process for the last 3 years through Burlington College, a great experience through the independent degree program. And my degree project was to research and create a social development strategy for the city of Burlington. And so I was able to do a lot of great research on the current administration, previous administrations even. I even took a road trip to Hartford, Connecticut to see what were some of the quality of life issues, what were some of the issues which were impacting quality of life there, to see perhaps where we were socially. I think that sometimes, I mean,
What does that mean?
well, but we are socially, I think that addressing social challenges, and for me, one of them is, I think that Burlington is becoming, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows it, much more culturally diverse. You know, the demographic changing populations, along with the fact that our young folks are leaving, our population is getting older. And I think that when you start putting them all together and coming to head, there are some challenges that accompany that. And so for me, it was about seeing, instead of going out and reinventing the wheel, how are other communities across this country responding to this growing trend of demographic population increase, or losing the loss of workforce, you know, just a lot of diverse cultural issues. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, I kind of ask people, you know, for you, example, Lee, I mean, Burlington, you've been here how long now yourself?
Ooh,
Right? A while.
oh, quite a while.
I've been here myself since 1963, and demographically it's changed a lot. And,
A lot.
yeah. And
It was sort of a pokey old lumber town.
yeah, it was a pokey old lumber town. And now we're not a pokey old lumber
We're
town.
Swish,
Yeah.
swish, elegant, expensive.
Ooh, now what is that, a store downtown or something? Is that a store? What is Swish Elliott?
Swish, elegant.
Oh, yes. Okay, I get that. Yes. Yeah. And so, yeah, so I guess my point is Burlington has changed. I know it's changed for me a lot. And so I think that unfortunately, underneath some of that change are some growing pains and some discomfort. And I think that being responsible means really kind of looking at the bigger picture and what we can do to help us transcend through that. And so I think that's important. And again, I think that to be able to support the leadership to make sure that they're effective is also important and such for well-being.
It is. It is. Sometimes there's a feeling that you have to compromise your own values.
Yes, sometimes. Yes. Yes, I hate that. I hate when that happens, but it doesn't happen too much for me, I like to kind of say. I kind of say that sometimes I feel like my moral compass just kind of leads me too much sometimes, and that's okay. But I think over-compromising is not the solution or the outcome that we want sometimes.
So what do you do? Where do you report for work? What do you?
Well, I report at City Hall.
City Hall?
Yep, and I report to Larry Kufferman. He's my director, CEDO director, and as part of the Legacy Project, again, co-coordinator. And the Legacy Project does have different, pieces to it. And like I said, the piece I work on is more specific social equity, and it's a new piece actually this year. But I feel good. It's been a year, and I'm still there. And oftentimes I get bumped into on the street. When are you coming back to the food shelf? Oh, we miss you. Da, da, da. And you know what? I miss the people. I really miss the people because after 12 years, that is what I see as a perfect social environment. I mean, of what's fair, what isn't. And for Burlington, I mean, that change oftentimes came directly to the food shelf first. And so it was kind of like, if you talk about a bellwether curve, is that what they call it, bellwether curve? Is that what they refer to it? That pretty much is what I was seeing right there. So it worked out. I think that being in the food shelf those 12 years gave me the learning tools, I say innately and up front, to really kind of deal with a lot of the social issues that I see right now. So.
Okay. Do you have power?
No, we don't want to talk about power. No, power. There's no power. I think that I work with a team, and then when we all come together, we all have the power. But no, I wouldn't say power. Would I say, would I have decision making? No, I think that I'm in a position where my voice is heard, and that validates not just me, but those of me who I feel may not have been traditionally been at the table or are marginalized. And I think that we're at a place right now where, I believe that our local government is very inclusive in process and thought, but it's about all of us. It's about all of us wanting the same things, jobs, livable wage jobs that pay well, quality education for our children, homes that we can afford, a voice in community decision making. I mean, that's very important, and I think that. As a community, there are many opportunities, whether we're looking at grassroots, whether we're looking at community-based organizations, or whether we're looking at local government, those opportunities are accessible. And so I think that you really can't go too wrong right there, Lee. And yourself?
Well,
I said we're going to bring each other along here. Okay.
we are.
Yeah.
How
important, I mean, having a voice, being there, I mean, is that to you?
Well, I miss being at the medical center.
The medical center?
Yeah.
You were a doctor, or before you were?
chaplain.
Oh, I didn't know that. Which one? At the FAHC, Mary Fletcher, DeGoldsby?
All of them.
All of them, DeGoldsby?
I was the chief.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For my elegance never got to you.
No, I didn't, but I had some family that was born up at the DeGoldsby Hospital, and my son was born at Fletcher Allen, but the DeGoldsby, I mean, that's as far back as I can remember, and Taft School, and gosh, that goes way back. No, your elegance never got to me.
Maybe that's good.
No, but it found me after all these years, yeah.
So I was in charge of the pastoral care program at Fletcher Allen and at the Bishop, de Gosbrin at that time, and then afterwards at the Fanny Allen.
Oh, okay.
So those 3 different institutions.
And being a chaplain means
I was responsible for the spiritual welfare of everyone.
the spiritual welfare of everyone, yes.
Whether you don't have to be a practicing Buddhist or a Christian or a Jew or
And-
Muslim.
And that meant patients as well as staff and
Yeah,
volunteers,
it works.
everybody. Good for you.
Yeah, I really like that, and the medical world was my area, so, and so medical ethics. I was in on the original putting together a medical ethics program for the medical school. I was a faculty member at the medical school in psychiatry, and
Sounds like you have a very extensive background,
so it was a lot of fun.
and
So I miss it, and
what do you miss most? Would you say
the people.
The people, yes, the one-on-one conversations, and I often said at the food shelf all those years that it seemed like people came there for more than just that 5-day supply of food. They came there to talk to somebody, and some days I felt to just validate that they were somebody and that everything was going to be okay, but just somebody to talk to, and I think that that's important. And so I can see how you would miss that role. But then again, you have the show, right?
I do.
Yes.
So I hold on to that.
Yes, you hold on to that. You leave,
The show is 1 day a week,
yeah.
an hour show, and that's fun. And meeting people, working with them, talking with them. And, but at the Fletcher Allen, it was a relationship with doctors, with nurses, with building and grounds people, with everyone. And the whole parabola, was.
The whole hospital
was-
organization, whole institute, everything.
Yeah, so I was part of the administration. It was a lot of fun.
Did you consider yourself as an individual, a chaplain who had an open door policy, which meant your door was just open if you needed to come
Oh,
in?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a administrator for the whole thing called Jim Taylor at one time, and his office was over at on the first floor of the Fletcher, and he had some structural changes made on his floor, and he had it fixed so that you could go to see him without having to go through his secretary. And he had a door on the hallway that would open up if he wanted it open, and you didn't have to go through the secretary's room.
You just get right to him.
Right to him.
Right,
and,
direct access.
and there was one time that on the weekend when you had work crews on the weekend who were building, house cleaning, and all of that, and they didn't fully yet know Jim, and he was sitting there in his shirt sleeves in his office on a weekend, and security, I think it was security, came by and they said, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" He said, I'm in charge of the whole medical center, and this is where my office is. And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir."
Surprised they didn't check him for ID, huh?
Yeah,
was
so
a heartbeat away there.
so that was fun. He really wanted to be known to everyone,
So he was
and
accessible
not just
too.
as a senior account
Yes.
executive or something.
That's important.
So it was a real loss to have him leave us. And he went to another state, another hospital center.
And I'm pretty sure he had that door, that side door there, that removed from the secretary. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So and then people would learn to talk with me if they had some personal issue that they would have resolved. And like, for example, as a gentleman whose father is dying, and right now who sort of is giving up, and he really would like the father not to give up, and so
Right.
he talked with me about that and what he could do and what he couldn't do and what I could do and how I could help, and those kinds of issues that were not down in boilerplate.
Yeah. It was very tough. He doesn't want him to give up. Yes. Must be very tough right there.
Yeah, so I miss that.
But again, like I said, you have the show, and so, I mean, have you ever missed a show, or just, no, you've just been pretty consistent here?
Pretty much
consistent?
one show every week.
One show every week? And
Which is pretty heavy going, because you have to get a guest, and you have to be sure the guest really wants to be on the show.
yeah, well, you got to make sure the guest shows up there.
You
too.
got it.
Yeah, you got
it.
You have to make sure that, yeah. No, myself, as I said earlier, I was just so looking forward to coming down here today. And,
Really?
Yeah, it kind of felt like, it's kind of taking a time out from my busy day, but for all the right reasons. Like I said, spiritual well-being. I don't know. After talking with you, and especially after meeting with your wife, that Sue, that I was just looking forward to it. It's kind of, I'm, as a matter of fact, I'm going to say, Lee would welcome probably anybody, and I would say, come down, sit here, and visit, and visit with the community, visit with Lee, visit. Yeah, I think that sometimes we don't take enough time out of our lives to take care of ourselves, or time to reflect.
It's true.
And considering the name of your show, I said, wow, this is an opportunity. I need to just take a time out here. And so
I came up with that name because I thought we're talking about spiritual things.
Yes.
It's not just technical, not just medical, not just corporate, but struggles of the spirit, and it's struggles.
Struggles.
We're
we all have struggles. We all struggle in some capacity,
Absolutely.
in some way or another.
Yeah.
And I think that as far as having to be able to talk about it or to share in it, or maybe turning on the TV and perhaps seeing a show like this and seeing that there are individuals that can relate to that is good. That's because nobody said life would be easy, and it's not. I mean, there are struggles out there, and we all want to be at a better place. We look at our well-being and such, and yeah.
So you see the mayor much?
Do I see Bob? Yeah, I see Bob. Yeah, I like Bob. Bob and I go back a long way. As a matter of fact, he was the director of CVOEO 12 years ago when I started. So he was like my big boss then, and he's my big boss now. I find Bob to be he's very thoughtful, very compassionate. He's very capable of seeing the bigger picture. Now, Bob is a very nice guy. I think that any man that has, I was going to say, I think he's got those chickens in his yard. He used to. He's just a very thoughtful man. And I think that as far as integrity goes, I would put it way, way, way up on the list. He's been one of my role models over the years, so I talked to Bob. And he also has an open door policy where you have to make an appointment, but I mean, he's, I don't know. It's like anybody else. He's, he's just very down to earth, just very, I think that, I could see him sitting here right now. He's just Bob. And I think that we should be, I'm very glad to see that he's our mayor. I'm not going to say we should be,
Well, let's see if anyone's really listening to us.
Okay, go ahead.
I challenge our viewers to phone in and talk with us, with me, with my guest, whoever he or she might be, and bring up issues that they want to talk about.
Yeah.
And
give us a call.
come on, Now, our phone number is on the wall there. Do you see it?
Yes, I do. 802-651-0589. So
I
we
like
got
that, loud and clear.
651-0589. Give us a call here.
Yeah,
John.
we want you to not be afraid of Wanda. She wouldn't bite, and nor will I.
Now, I wouldn't bite any more than Lee over here.
So we'd like you to
Yeah.
call. The way we can tell, because I'm blind, there's no sign or flag that our Bill, our manager, puts in the window of his control room. What I ask him to do is to go to the door to the studio and jiggle the doorknob.
Oh, okay. And does he put the question up there, or what?
Then he has us use electronics by.
Oh, okay.
There's a
How about where there's a
loudspeaker.
will, there's a way, and we'll get the answer.
There's a loudspeaker, and the
question.
person
Oh,
who's
okay.
on the line will
Okay.
speak into their telephone, and it will come out on our loudspeaker here for you and me to respond to.
All right.
And then
Give us.
they hear us with their earpiece on their telephone, and then we say something else and try to follow up on what their issues are,
Right.
whatever they might be.
Yeah, whatever they might be. So you're.
Please phone us.
Give us
I try to point out to people that commercial television doesn't give you that option. You can't phone up the
right.
any of these shows, but you can hear.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's a good opportunity. Yep. You sure there's somebody out there with something they want to talk about with us? I'd love to hear from somebody. Give us a call. Seems like the sky's the limit, as it should be. And give a call. Yeah.
I'm listening
You listening?
for the phone to ring.
For the phone to ring, yeah. 651-0589. 651-0589. Yeah. So let me see. We just got out of summer. Call up. Talk about the weather. Here we go.
October the 1st is today.
Yeah, October 1st is today. We're out of the summer. We're into the fall. Here come the heating costs. Now, what is that going to mean for people? Terrible.
What do you concern yourself with in your daily job?
What do I? People. I concern myself with people. People. I concern myself with people in the fact that if they're being heard, but more specifically, those who have the leadership skills, however, but that are not recognized, and how can I, through partnering with other entities, give them the support that they need. That's what I think about right there. You know, I think about how can I contribute to my community to make it a better place for everybody. You know, how can I exercise my decision making that will create a bridge that will bring everybody along as it should be, instead of leaving, which unfortunately we live in a time where, you know, not by our own fault that not everybody's able to come along, but how can we shore that up to make sure that they can? And I think that's the beauty about the Legacy Project, because the Legacy Project does have a vision around the ease, the economics, the education, and the equity and environment. And to understand the interconnectedness of them, I think is really important. So I think about that often also. You know,
Good.
it's important that you know, all bridges lead home, whether to yourself or to places where you can find groups of people who share a sense of belonging per se.
I'm still not clear why I should call Wanda.
Why? You can call Wanda because, well, this is a good time to call Wanda, and Wanda'd love to speak with you. You could call Wanda because I grew up in this community for, gosh, I've been here since 1963, 45 years, and maybe I haven't seen you for a while, and I would love to say hello to you. I haven't seen you since kindergarten. I haven't seen some of you since kindergarten when I went to Taft School. I think you should call up here to this show to speak to me and say, hey, I missed the great work you did at the food shelf. I think you should call up because you care. You know, I think that you should call up and talk about an issue that's impacting your life, and maybe you just feel like talking about it. That's why you should
You're
call.
a troubleshooter.
Yes, I think that that's what I am, yeah. Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. That's another reason I came here. See, I knew he would answer questions that I couldn't quite put into words. I'm a troubleshooter. I am, yeah. Making sure that all bridges lead home. I think that that's important. And
Like solving problems.
yes, I think that we all bring different life experiences to the table. And I think that when you start looking at culturally, more so than ever, and I think that when we don't look into what's new, sometimes we overlook opportunities or solutions that could work. And so I'm about, again, recognizing underutilized resources in people. I think that those resources that those people bring are key to that problem solving. And so, I'm a problem solver. I'm looking for solutions. I'm looking for, any associated growing pains or accompanied challenges or barriers. But I'm looking at it not necessarily in needs-based or entitlement-based, but through leadership, recognizing leadership and the resources that they bring, and how do we get that out. And I think it's going to be, when I look at my problem solving, the leadership that will build the bridges and see it in ways that we traditionally have not. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a bitch that I have. I came here in, what was it? 19, that's dating me already, 19, not 2000, but 19,
20s? No. You
50.
came here in the 30s, maybe 40s,
50s.
50s. Okay.
And
To Burlington specifically, in
yeah,
the Burlington area.
to my job.
Oh,
to my
okay.
job. And I had learned at that time that they had ripped down a whole bunch of poor people's homes along the waterfront here.
Yeah. Okay. You're relocating. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were supposedly doing that so they would have a much better place to stay.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
However, I noticed that what happened was that those places became out of reach of most people's pocketbook to buy or to rent.
Right. Yeah.
And
Development, growth, and
yeah, I mean, some of the fancy hotels are on those areas. So, a poor person can't buy the hotel.
right. You're working at a hotel that you can't even afford to stay in. If you're lucky, you got a job at the hotel, but you can't afford to stay in the hotel.
Yeah,
Yes.
we were told at the time this was for the poor.
It was for the poor to create jobs for the poor.
Give them a better place to live.
The hotels. Ah.
Well, they didn't say hotel. They said we're going to improve the area. And it didn't turn out that way. It was to the contrary. So the promises that were made were not kept.
Right. Oh.
And that made me feel kind of bitter.
Seems like somebody, it seems like the trend seems to be that in the beginning we make promises, and unfortunately we lose our way and we compromise that, and promises aren't kept.
Right.
But
That's what
I don't need to tell you that, because history is full of that. And I think that when you start looking at socioeconomic divide, between the haves and the have-nots, and I think the biggest challenge for me, Lee, is recognizing that it also comes down to labels, and for those who couldn't afford to go there, and I don't know. I think it's about the labels of maybe recognizing that people are rich in other capacities, maybe, and because there's always going to be a socioeconomic divide, unfortunately, in this country and in many places. I just wish that we could just get over it and make sure, or get through it, and just make sure that the bottom line is that people are being fed, and the bottom line is that there is enough adequate housing and access to quality education. We all want that, but to be motivated, like for me, I'm not really motivated by fancy stores myself, but you know what? I know one thing, I'm rich in so many other capacities, and so I think that how we look through that and how we process that, and maybe it's about reframing the conversation, and maybe the compromise needs to be meeting, other individuals are halfway, those that do have the decision making or the influence to maybe, let's just guarantee this bottom line here. Nobody wants to settle for bottom line, but to me, sometimes it's not about the money, because a friend of mine always says, Wanda, because, okay, I like to make sure I save my money. I might not have a lot of money, but sometimes I get a little too frugal, and they're like, you can't take it with you. I say, okay, all right, I can't take it with me, but I want to do what I can, But and I look and I say, again, I'm rich in so many other capacities. For example, at the food shelf, several years ago, I had my taxes done, and I said, well, do your partner first. And they're like, okay, partner, all right, you're low income, below poverty, low income. And they did me. Now, I'm the director of the food shelf, and they go, you're low income too. And I'm like, wow. I was just so devastated by this label, I'm like, wow.
Low income.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, the livable wage and my taxes, I was going to get the tax break, or you fall into that pocket. And I went to work the next day all night. I'm like, I made all the right decisions, I worked all my life. What do you mean? Here I am, the director of the food shelf, and I'm looking at individuals, families coming through, and I looked up and I said, if that's the case, what chance do they have? I made all the right choices. And then I realized, it came to me, I said, you know what? I said, I am rich in so many other capacities, I'm just rich. The fact that we don't have jobs for the most educated, it does not make the individuals that visit the food shelf educated fools, they had enough sense to go to the food shelf, right? They were educated enough to get there. But unfortunately, in this country and in many places, we don't have enough jobs for the most educated. We don't have. And so I think that if we can maybe reframe the conversation and move away from those labels, oh, you're poor, you're below. What does that have to do with it? I am rich, 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 goodness.
I like that.
And I can take that with me and leave a little bit behind, Yeah, so it's the labels. And I think that when we have situations where we're dealing with poverty, whether, we're dealing with food, heating, and health costs, I think that, would it be so much to ask that, okay, take your big houses, take your, but let's just make sure we feed the hungry, we clothe, the naked, and that we have education that's accessible for children, at least for our children, maybe if they aspire to have that big house, but but at least lead a quality of life, That's pretty much how I see it in a nutshell right there. And so even the fact of, going back to school all those, time, that took a lot out of me, and I really heard it a lot. You can't take it with you, because, that there was cost with that, but, you look at the big picture, I think a lot of us are in it for the long run, and I don't think that the labels should allow us to lose our way during that process. So, yep.
Celia?
No, I was just saying that I believe that we're all in it for the long run, and I don't think that we should allow the labels to get in the way, which kind of, which sometimes can influence us, and then we lose our way. Maybe not just physically going off the beaten path, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's disempowering with those labels. And you're always hearing sometimes the labels, whether you're talking about refugees or those poor people or this, it's those labels that separate us, the differences, whereas I think that if we should focus more on recognizing the commonalities and the things that bring us together. Yeah, I hate labels.
What did you learn doing the food shelf about people?
I learned that we all want the same thing, that they are somebody, each and every one of them are somebody. And there are some smart people in there. I often receive books from a lot of and I don't like to call them clients, I say participants, people that are coming there. I learned a lot. I learned social behavior, cultural behavior, and in that I don't know, I learned a lot about integrity. I just learned a lot about people, how they feel, and things may not always be as they appear. Again, when I had said earlier, referenced about that 5-day supply of food, but it was maybe coming there for more than that. I learned a lot in the sense around, dealing with volunteers, the fact of, a gazillion volunteers coming there, and they all want to be somewhere. I think that we all want to be somewhere. We all want to contribute. Especially, I love the RSVP, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program from United Way. Individuals who were not ready to to roll up into a corner and just be content with themselves, but who were still rich and valuable to our communities and wanted to contribute. And they did at the food shelf, and a lot of local social service agencies. And so I learned a lot about people to value and respect, because I'll tell you something. One thing I did learn, there's nothing worse than a volunteer showing up to volunteer and somebody else is doing that volunteer's work. Because volunteers will be, hey, what do you mean? My job, I lost it. And you got to explain, it's not a job, but you know what? It means something to them. Just because you can't understand it doesn't mean that that feeling and that love and that commitment and integrity is not there. And so I learned a lot about people. And would I say that being in that environment, I think that you need to be able to fix and you're able to see, to bring people together, different communities together, because boy, the cultural landscape changed so much over the 12 years that I was there that it was just amazing. And then realizing that what was called for was a reflective solution. I always kind of say that a reflective solution, meaning somebody that maybe speaks that language to break down the barriers and such. So that was a good experience right there, Lee. So what do you think of all that? No?
Impressive.
Yeah. Impressive? Yeah, people, yeah. And then for me, I think that to be able to take all that knowledge, sometimes a part of me goes, Wanda, it would be kind of selfish if you were to just not share all that. So I kind of feel like at City Hall, I'm able to, bridges lead home. I think local government is one of those homes, and be able to take all that years of firsthand knowledge and sharing and take it to City Hall and maybe be able to put it into a framework where it can benefit us all, not just the food shelf, but as a broader sweeping communities as well. So it's a good thing. Definitely is a good thing. So are we no calls yet? We're still...
I'm impatiently waiting for calls.
Yes, you are.
But no calls.
No calls. Well, that's okay. They're out there listening. I'm pretty sure they're out there listening.
They usually do, but
Yeah.
I like to hear from them.
Yeah.
I usually hear from them when we're walking along the street together,
Oh, okay.
but I don't hear from them on the hookup here.
Oh, they recognize you. They recognize you. That's a good thing.
Well, they call me a TV personality.
Well, of course, after 15 years, you said you've been doing this?
About,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
well, you're a personality too.
A little bit. Do you think so?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. You say so. I don't think of it that way. I've been running into a lot of people on the street, and they're like, Wanda, where you been? Your PR person fell down on the job. I'm like, it's okay. I just look at myself as just somebody that cares about their community, and I just care about my community. I'm just out there doing what I can and feel good about it.
Well, you want to tell us about where you did what you could and had a sense of success and completion and happiness?
In my life, or in just period, or
Well, in your work.
Where I'm at now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a sense of accomplishment and completeness. And I mean, I think that the fact that I spent the last 3 years, even while at the food shelf, working on a social development strategy for the city at my own expense, even visiting other communities, leaving out, I think that in itself to be able to see something and to build it, and then to bring other individuals along during that process is a very powerful thing. I can say powerful there is a very powerful thing. It's a very meaningful thing. And so now, do I feel rewarded in the work that I do? I go, yes, I would say yes, but I don't think that I would not have been able to do the work that I'm doing had that framework, not been researched. Yeah. And to see what was going on in other places and bringing voice. I mean, I spent a lot of time visiting a lot of the underutilized leadership in our community and getting their voice. And so I currently have, there's a social equity advisory committee, which is compiled of those voices, those of leadership. But unfortunately, those and that particular leadership, they have blue collar jobs. They're not able to do what I'm doing right now, Lee. Come here, on my lunch break or in the middle of the day and film a show. I mean, I think that those are the voices that we need to make sure have that access if we're going to have a complete, inclusive, full picture. And to engage, I think, in, that vision sharing about where we go as a community, which is all the more reason. I just want to say again that I would really like to see the community, all of us, as many as we can. Somebody goes, well, City Hall only holds 300 people. They'll have standing room only. But there will be the annual meeting again with the Burlington Legacy Project, and we will revisit where the Legacy Project is, which is actually the vision of Burlington. This is, again, annually happens when our community comes together and we talk about what was a priority. A priority some years ago was food security in the greater Burlington area. And as a result, we came up with the Burlington Food Council. And what spun off of that was the Burlington School Food Project, which in all the Burlington schools, there's been a major step to move towards having access to more healthy, nutritious food. And this is a good thing. This was an issue which impacted the health for all of our children. I mean, quality of life issue, you could look at it in that sense. And right now, all the schools, except one elementary, now have and I love this, what do you call that, a cart with fresh vegetables on it? Anyway, it's got fresh vegetables on it. A veggie cart at every school. And so that was good. And then to be able to take the children to the local farms and different places to show them about the cycle of food and how it comes from the earth, and then be able to grow that food and perhaps take that food, that grain, and then make muffins, or take the carrots from the cycle and put that in there. So I think that that's a good thing. That was one of the issues. Youth initiatives, that was very important as Youth on Boards grew out of that, which acknowledging that youth needed to have a voice in decision making by allowing youth to serve on boards and commissions, something like a mentorship program even. It was really good. So I feel good about it. But again, I think that the Burlington community needs to come out December 9th, and there will be a lot of talk about it to the Burlington Legacy Project annual meeting.
Really neat.
Yeah.
Frank talk, I hope.
Pardon?
Frank talk.
Frank talk, yeah. That's another word for it. But it needs to move a little beyond frank talk. Well, what do you call it when you want everybody there? And so I think that I think that we've had a turnout, but I think that we can do better, and I think it needs to be more responsive. We need to mix it up a little bit. Sometimes when you address challenges, it does mean mixing it up a little bit. And I think we need to mix it up a little bit more, especially demographically this year at the annual town meeting right there. I would like to see that. And I think that part of my job will be to make sure that we are mixing it up a little bit. So we're going to talk about the climate action plan, and there will be an interaction activity for those that are attending to talk about what's important to them. But at the same time, I think there needs to be more of a social, a laughter piece. What would you think, Lise? I mean, something that would, if you were to go to an annual town meeting, what would you want to see besides your climate action plan, Lee? Lee, any thought? Nope. Okay, I guess so. Well, somebody give us a call in a minute right here so we can get a call here.
Oh, I have a call.
Yeah, no, we didn't have a call. I was saying so we can get a call.
Oh.
I said, yes, we can get a call.
Okay.
No, this is you and me moving each other along. Moving each other along. But I was saying, Lee, about the annual town meeting. Mm-hmm. What would you want to see? If this is about dialogue, we're having conversation, you got people there, and you have a brand new group of people, in that, what would you do? I mean, these are people who traditionally haven't been here, who maybe come from different parts of the world and country, and you're going to talk about your environment piece, and then there's the social piece. What could we do?
Well, when I came here first, we had a real town meeting. We had votes and conversation. We had both. Mm-hmm. And then we gave up the voting and to the Australian ballot on another day, not the same day as the brainstorming.
So then
we lost a lot when we did that.
Well, this right here, the Legacy Annual Town Meeting, is more about the food and the talking, and then coming together and identify issues. But at the same time, we often have a little bit of music, one interaction activity this year, which will be about environment. But I'm just thinking about socially I don't know. How about this? We'll just make sure that food's real good. There you go. People always come out for a good meal, and there's going to be a big variety of food that's going to be there. And maybe it's the food, and maybe it's a quick 5 or 10 minute acknowledgement that we live in a great community. Thank you for coming out here, and so
that might help.
Yeah.
For example, what are we really trying to accomplish in a Vermont Senate and House? What are we really trying to do there when we elect an official?
Well, that's not my area of expertise. I'm going to come right out there and say that. And the Senate and the House. You got me on that.
Well, then substitute just
voting. What am I looking for in a good governor? We want to ask. Are we more specific, or we're looking for in leadership, or
honesty.
On a state level, I think that I'm looking for somebody who's going to be consistent. I think somebody who's going to be transparent. I think that despite all the challenges, I think that I would expect them to be able to move mountains or barriers, or to make sure that the people of this state are taken care of. And then maybe some people might say, well, do I think that's been the case with Governor Douglas? I love Jim. I think Jim's a great guy. And the other two individuals have not been tested yet in governorship, so I don't know. I just want transparent leadership. I think, and again, I want transparency to the point, I didn't say this earlier, that everybody has an opportunity to be engaged or to have a voice in that process.
Well, let me go back in history a little bit.
Okay.
When I came here to Vermont, we used to say there were more cows than people in Vermont.
Yes, there was. Yes, yeah.
We were kind of proud of that.
Yes, there were more cows than people, and now
there are more people than cows.
Yes.
And the state encouraged the farmer to get rid of his cows.
Yeah, and so now we have all this urban, suburban, urban, this development that's going on. Gunk, yeah. So now the cows are gone. We got all these people, and the government encouraged the farmer to get rid of the cows. Why?
Why did they do that? And I've asked people that, and no one seems to know why. And these are responsible people I've asked.
Why?
How did that happen?
For the money. That's me. It's just about urban economic growth. It's just growth and development. Growth and development. You go down the highway, every town looks the same. Every interstate looks the same. Burlington is catching up with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like with the elimination of the cow fields or the cows, even culturally speaking, Vermont is not the community it used to be 45 years ago when I got here.
No.
And it's not when you got here in the 50s.
No.
You're right. The cows are gone. Remember Williston years ago?
Yeah.
How beautiful that would be. As a young lady, I used to hang out a lot up in Westford, and I have to go up to Fletcher in a couple weeks, but next week. But I can't wait to take that ride up there. It's amazing when you take those little rides, and what in the you look and you're like you probably say yuck, yuck, but you know, it's kind of yin and yang too. You got yuck, and then you got yin and yang in there, so back and forth. I mean, because it's about compromise, it's about economic growth and development, and with the cost of living the way it is, with increased living costs, I think it's all yuck. To be quite honest, right now, it's all yuck.
No one's phoning in right now. What Bill tells us that we're out of time.
Yeah, yep.
We have 4
Couple
minutes.
4 minutes, yep.
4 minutes left. I guess I'm getting fired up at this 4 minutes.
Okay.
No one really discusses this.
But everything has gone to blink in a blink basket?
Is that the way we
No.
wanted to go?
No, that's not the way we want to go.
We wanted to have Williston, we were going to have some commercial properties in Williston, which would lower taxes. It would,
Sure it will.
So that people would pay less.
Sure it will.
Ha.
I think it's just, I mean, that kind of goes back to the quality of life issue for me because, you know, I mean, life is what you make it. And unfortunately, too many of us are impacted by other people's decisions. And so.
But we don't speak out.
We don't speak out. And so it becomes a matter of maybe how do you safeguard against that? You know, so maybe do I want a leadership who's going to safeguard me against the repercussions of somebody else's poor decision making, whether it's the farmer, unfortunately, who decided to sell his property and now I've got this yuck out there. And I think that there goes back to, in itself, leadership and making sure that you have access and bridges to where your voice can be heard, or that we elect leadership that has the integrity, the compassion, and maybe we all compromise a little bit, but just not give away the farm.
Yeah.
You know?
Amen.
Can we keep the farm here?
Yeah.
You know? So, and to be realistic, I mean, yeah, you get me fired up with you now. Stop.
Maybe the town meeting day should be talking about these issues.
Yeah, over some good food and some.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. I'm not knocking the good food, but I'm saying that we need to really have something that people want to come out for. I
think, well, in a sense, what you're saying too, Lee, you just have that frank conversation. You know, sometimes maybe you have a keynote speaker, somebody that leads out and boom, 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 say everything that everybody's thinking. That would be a great conversation. Let me tell you what you're really thinking. And then, yeah, you can bounce off of that. You know, you lead into that conversation. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure there are definitely a lot of frustrated people out there.
So we are now talking about what's really important. Mm-hmm. And we're both fired up. I hate to say that our program is over.
Yep.
We've been talking here today with Wanda Hindes, and she is, tell us where you...
Well, I'm working right now at the City of Burlington, at the City of Burlington's co-director of the Burlington Legacy Project. And I've also kind of spun off there and created a framework for another social development resource for the City of Burlington. In other words, I like to say that I problem solve, connect dots. I'm just there because I care.
So if people want to follow up on this conversation that you and I started now, they should call you up.
They can give me a call. I would love it. Because you didn't call me just now. No. Yeah, call. Please. And call Lee. Call. I know it's late, but then leave a message. Leave a name. Leave a number. There we go. Lee, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
And for talking.
It was great.
Cranking us up to important things.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. Depends on how you want to navigate through it. You know,
our time is over, alas.